All right, last video we are going to watch this week, video number 5, half an equilateral triangle. So this is going to be really similar to what we did yesterday, except now we are going to be cutting an equilateral triangle in half, just like it is shown in this picture, okay? So triangle ABC is an equilateral triangle. That means all of the side lengths are the same, which in this case is 2, which we can see from right here, okay? It also tells us that D is the midpoint of AC. So we can see these congruent marks right here. It says, what is the length of DC? Write it on the figure. Well, if D is the midpoint, that means both sides are 1. So DC is 1. What is the length of BD? Write it on the figure. Well, you will need to do the Pythagorean theorem here. So we are trying to find BD, which is this side right here. Notice that's one of our legs. So we're going to have x squared plus 1 squared equals 2 squared. And if we solve this, x squared is x squared, 1 squared is 1, 2 squared is 4. If we subtract the 1 from both sides, we get x squared equals 3. Take the square root. 3 is a prime number and cannot be broken up. So we're just left with x equals the square root of 3. Okay, and the other thing that I want to talk about real quick are the angles. We know that in an equilateral triangle, every angle is 60 degrees. But up at the top, we're splitting that in half. So this is 30 degrees and 30 degrees. So if we look at this triangle that we just made, okay, its angles are 90 degrees, 60 degrees, and 30 degrees, okay? And just like how with the square, we always have the same angles. When we cut an equilateral triangle in half, we're always going to have the same angles. So that means our same proportions are going to hold. So down here, what they want you to do is they want you to calculate these missing sides a couple times, okay? You should see a pattern emerging, similar to how we had a pattern yesterday. You're going to do the Pythagorean theorem each time. And each time you do the Pythagorean theorem, for those, it's 2 legs. Here it's a leg. Eventually, they get to the point where they want you to have realized that, just like with the square, we can fill this in without having to do any math, okay? So I'm going to explain that part to you. I want you to do the Pythagorean theorem up here for x 3 times. That way you can discover the pattern for yourself first, because that's going to let you remember it better than just watching me explain it. So if we imagine the rest of our right triangle over here, we know that this is also 3 because f is the midpoint, which means that the whole side is 6. Which means that those numbers are 6. So immediately we know that HG is 6, right? So what you can tell is that this side down here is what we call the short leg. It's always going to be half of the hypotenuse because it is one of the sides of the equilateral triangle cut in half. The other thing that you should have noticed is that we were constantly getting radical 3 over here. All right, and specifically, the number in front of the radical was whatever that number was. So we've got 3 radical 3, 3, and 6. And if you know this pattern, just like with the half a square, you should be able to fill in the sides without needing to do any math, just based on the pattern, okay? So it says fill in the structure for a generic 30, 60, 90 triangle. We have our x down here at the bottom. This is our short leg. That means our hypotenuse is going to be 2x because it's always double. And that means the height is always going to be x radical 3. So the short leg, notice, is always across from the short angle. It's across from 30. The big leg is across from 60, that's x radical 3, and the hypotenuse is always across from the right angle, that's 2x. So again, just like with yesterday, if you know that your angles are 30, 60, and 90, and you know one of your sides, then you can fill in any of the other sides. So I'm just going to make up some numbers here real quick. So if this is 7, this is 14, this is 7 radical 3, okay? If you know that the hypotenuse is, I don't know, 20, then this is half of that, so that's 10 down there, and that means the height is 10 radical 3. Or you might know the height. Let's say the height is 11 radical 3. That means this is just 11, and that means the hypotenuse is 22, okay? So you guys have a couple problems to do down here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 problems. You're given one of the sides, and I want you to fill in the other sides, okay? If you have any questions, I've asked Miss Gimrick to stop by and help you guys out, so hopefully she's doing that. Otherwise, you can watch the other video that I put up, or remember, Math Lab is always an option. If you're feeling lost and confused this week, go to Math Lab, ask questions, and get some help, okay? But hopefully this made sense, and have a good weekend, okay?